Significant task for Malaysia as chair for ASEAN Summit this year. Russian gas supplies to Europe by Ukraine to end today. Good afternoon and Salam Malaysia Madani. I'm Shuhaida Arifin and you're watching World Today. Welcome to 2025. Malaysia faces a significant task in 2025 as it shoulders the responsibility of leading Southeast Asia as the chair of ASEAN. With the theme Inclusivity and Sustainability, Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim noted that the complexity of the current global landscape demands that ASEAN chart new roles and directions. In his New Year Eve address, Datuk Seri Anwar, who is also the Finance Minister, said, to fulfill the responsibility as ASEAN chair, Malaysians must collectively uphold the principle of striving for excellence by finding ways and methods to achieve excellence and strengthen national unity first.
Sebelum kita melangkau ke rantau dan ke pasaran antarabangsa, negara harus teratur dengan baik, tata kelola mesti dimantapkan, ketirisan dan rasuah mesti dibanteras. Barulah kita akan perolehi penghormatan sebagai satu negara yang berdaulat, merdeka dan bertanggungjawab.
He further noted that the responsibility is a great honour for the country and an opportunity to create a new chapter in regional and global agenda. On another matter, Datuk Seri Anwar said, Madani Economic Framework is a clear pathway to reform Malaysia into Asia's economy driver. He said it also acts as a guide to build a foundation of an economic system based on humane principle to ensure that justice will be upheld for every Malaysian.
Atas ikhtiar tersebut, kerajaan telah menggerakkan usaha untuk menjelmakan anjakan baru bermula pada tahun ini, insya-Allah. Saya turut memahami bahawa tidak semua keputusan dan kebijakan kerajaan itu popular atau lekas membuahkan hasil. Namun, semua ini dilaksanakan dengan tekad politik yang jelas, dengan niat ikhlas serta penilaian yang teliti untuk memastikan dasar-dasar tersebut memberi manfaat kepada rakyat terbanyak.
New Year's Eve celebrations and fireworks around the world are ringing in 2025. Fireworks are lighting up night skies around the world, welcoming the New Year.
Fireworks display in Malaysia.
In Malaysia, New Year's Eve 2025 celebration lit up as Malaysians gathered with their families to celebrate with a blend of fun and meaningful traditions. In the capital, iconic landmarks like the Kuala Lumpur Tower, which attracted locals and international tourists alike to witness a dazzling fireworks display at a record-breaking altitude. Meanwhile, Paris kicked off 2025 with a massive fireworks which momentarily engulfed the Arc de Triomphe monument in the fiery display. Thousands gathered on the French capital's Champs-Élysées Avenue to watch the show and celebrate the incoming New Year. Qatar welcomed the New Year with a grand drone and firework display at Lusail Boulevard, drawing hundreds of people. The 2022 FIFA World Cup host country welcomed 2025 with celebrations in various cities, including the capital Doha. Dubai celebrate the incoming of New Year with a stunning fireworks display at the world's tallest skyscraper, Burj Khalifa. Hundreds gathered to watch the nearly 9-minute-long show titled Beyond Dreams, featuring fireworks, lasers and colourful displays on the Burj Khalifa. In Damascus, people gathered at a Christmas market to ring in the new year with fireworks in the early hours of Wednesday. Crowds could be seen strolling around the market before the fireworks display. Some waved Syrian flags and recorded the event on their phones. Meanwhile, Greece's ancient Parthenon temple on the Acropolis had a quiet New Year with limited fireworks and a small drone display to ring in 2025. The mayor of the Athens said this year's celebration took into account the distress that loud fireworks cause on pets and animals. 174 of the 179 victims who died in the Jeju airplane crash have been successfully identified. During a briefing for victims' families at one international airport in Seoul, the Ministry of Land, Infrastructure and Transport said efforts to identify the remaining 5 victims are still ongoing. Out of the 32 individuals whose fingerprints couldn't be matched, 17 of it were successfully identified in the first DNA test and another 10 in the second round. The ministry added they are further confirming the remaining 5 due to DNA inconsistencies. The bodies of 4 of the identified victims have been handed over to their families and funeral arrangements have begun at their respective hometowns. Only 2 people, both flight attendants, survived the plane barely landed and crashed into a barrier on Sunday, killing 179 of the 181 people on board. The Israeli occupation authorities have rejected more than 140 United Nations requests to enter the northern Gaza Strip over the past 2 months. Senior official of the United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs in the occupied territory, OCHA, Jonathan Whitehall said the Israeli occupation army continues its airstrike on the Jabalia and surrounding areas, targeting hospitals and healthcare workers. The UN has tried to reach northern Gaza over the past 2 months, but the Israeli authorities have rejected all requests more than 140 times. Palestinian families in the Jabalia area have been living under an Israeli siege for more than 2 months. The UN officials stressed that Palestinians forcibly displaced from the northern Gaza Strip from areas such as Jabalia, Beit Hanun and Beit Lahia are living under extremely difficult conditions in the vicinity of Gaza City. More than a year after it was taken out of service by Israeli bombing, the Al-Nasser Eye Hospital in Gaza City reopens its doors to patients. The United Nations UN previously reported that the healthcare system in Gaza was almost weak after relentless Israeli attack targeting hospitals. The Palestinian Ministry of Health, together with its partners, managed to restore the hospital, which had to stop its service for 14 months after it was bombed by the Israeli army. The director of the hospital, Abdul Salam Sabah, said the emergency services at the health premises will operate 24 hours a day. According to health ministry sources, the reoperation took place while they were mourning the destruction of Kamal Adwan Hospital and Hospital Indonesia, also due to Zionist atrocities. UN condemns the Zionist regime's military operation targeting hospitals in Gaza, including Kamal Adwan Hospital. It is calling for the area to be respected as a safe area where people can seek medical help. The Palestinian Central Bureau of Statistics, PCBS, reports that more than 45,000 Palestinians have lost their lives due to Israel's continuous military assaults in the Gaza Strip since 7th October 2023. About 98% of the casualties were reported in the Gaza Strip, marking the highest death toll in the history of the Arab-Israeli conflict. PCBS said the population of the Gaza Strip has declined by 6% by the end of 2024. The Gaza Strip has suffered catastrophic human and material losses, with entire neighborhoods destroyed, families erased from civil records, and vital infrastructure reduced to rubble. The Gaza economy has also collapsed, with unemployment soaring to 80% and its contribution to the overall Palestinian economy dropping to less than 5% from about 17% before 7th October 2023. Many tents in different displacement camps across the Gaza Strip experienced flooding on Monday and early Tuesday morning due to heavy rainfall. The Palestinian News and Info Agency has reported that the situation has worsened the difficulties experienced by the families living in dire condition due to the ongoing shelling from the Israeli occupation. Their tents were blown away by the strong winds that swept the Strip over the past 2 days, forcing them to face the bitter cold without any protection. The displaced, especially in the areas of Deir al-Balah and Mawasi Khan Yunis in the southern Gaza Strip, spent a harsh night inside their tents, which were swallowed by rainwater and blown away by the winds. This cold weather comes at a time when medical sources announced the death of an infant in the Gaza Strip due to the cold weather and low temperatures, the seventh person to die due to the cold and lack of heating in less than a week. Rescue crews received hundreds of distress calls from the displaced to rescue them and their children, whose tents and destroyed homes were flooded by rainwater. They indicated that they could only evacuate the displaced from their damaged shelters to other places that are mostly unsuitable for shelter, and they remain in the open under the rain and bitter cold. The catastrophic humanitarian conditions have forced about 2 million displaced people since 7 October 2023 to live in dilapidated tents that lacked the minimum requirements for a decent life. Russian gas supplies to Europe via Ukraine are set to end on New Year's Day, bringing down the curtain on Moscow's long period of dominance of supply in the European gas market. Russia's oldest gas export route to Europe, a pipeline dating back to Soviet days, was set to shut at the end of 2024 as a 5-year transit deal between Russia and Ukraine expires. Data from Ukraine's gas transit operator showed on Tuesday that Russia had not requested any gas flows for 1st January 2025. The European Union drastically reduced its dependency on Russian gas after the outbreak of the war in Ukraine in February 2022 by seeking alternative gas resources. The remaining buyers of Russian gas, such as Slovakia and Austria, have arranged for alternative supplies, and analysts foresee minimal market impact from the stoppage. European benchmark gas prices settled at 48.5 euros per megawatt hour on Tuesday, only marginally up from opening trade. Moscow has lost its dominant share of gas supplies to countries in the European Union to rivals such as the United States, Qatar and Norway since it invaded Ukraine, which prompted the EU to cut its dependence on Russian gas. At least 71 people died in Ethiopia's truck accident. There are more coming up next. At least 71 people died in Ethiopia when a truck packed with passengers plunged into a river. The Regional Communication Bureau stated the accident occurred in the Bona district. Spokesperson for the Sidama Regional Government, Wosanyele Simeon, said 71 people had died, including 68 males and 3 females. He added the truck had missed a bridge and fell into a river, and that the road had many bends. The truck was overloaded, which likely caused the accident, and some families had lost multiple members. Deadly traffic accidents are common in Ethiopia, where driving standards are poor and many vehicles badly maintained. At least 38 people, mostly students, were killed in 2018 when a bus plunged into a ravine in Ethiopia's mountainous north. A major power outage plunged much of Puerto Rico into darkness on New Year's Eve, with the U.S. island territory's electric utility saying restoration could take up to 2 days. Luma Energy, which manages power transmission on the island, said preliminary findings pointed out to a fault in an underground cable as the cause of the outage. The blackout came as the Caribbean island entered its high season for tourists visiting from the wintry U.S. mainland and just hours ahead of New Year's Eve celebrations. Luma added in a subsequent statement that service had been restored to some critical facilities, including a medical center and hospital in the capital San Juan. As of 7 p.m. local time, the agency has restored service to more than 335,000 customers, approximately 23% of clients impacted by the outage, according to Luma's emergency response dashboard. The company earlier noted that the incident left its roughly 1.5 million customers without service. Puerto Rico, a Spanish-speaking archipelago, came under U.S. control in 1898 and has faced perennial infrastructure issues exacerbated by the devastating Hurricane Maria in 2017. The Puerto Rican power grid has suffered frequent outages since that hurricane tore through it. Officials in Ecuador said on Tuesday that genetic tests on child bodies found near a military base confirm they are those of 4 boys taken by soldiers 3 weeks ago. Ecuador's prosecution service wrote on X that the results of genetic forensic tests confirm that the 4 bodies found in Taura correspond to the 3 teenagers and a boy who disappeared after 8 December military operation. The disappearance of the boys, aged between 11 and 15, has sparked protests in the South American nation, which is in the throes of an armed struggles between narco gangs and security forces. Saul Arboleda, Stephen Medina, and brothers Josu and Ismael Arroyo were out playing football in the western city of Guayaquil on 8 December when they went missing. An unverified video released by Ecuador's Congress appears to show a group of soldiers putting one of the minors in a vehicle and beating him while another was seen facing down. The father of one of the boys said his family received a call that night of their disappearance, during which Ismail was put on the phone. Later, the relatives received 2 locations via WhatsApp, one of them in the town of Taura, home to a military air base, and the other near a shrimp farm. On 24th December, the charred remains of 4 corpses were found near the Taura base, raising fears they were of the missing boys, though officials said at the time DNA tests were needed. Authorities early last week raided the Taura base and confiscated the phones of 16 soldiers suspected to be involved in the disappearance, as well as the vehicles used to transport the minors. On Tuesday, the soldiers who had been put in military detention were ordered into custody by a criminal court. They are being investigated for the forced disappearance of the boys. The soldiers claimed they had released the boys in the area after a brief detention and that all 4 had been alive in good condition at that time. About 9 billion interregional trips are expected to be made in China during the upcoming Spring Festival travel rush. According to Xinhua News Agency, the figure is forecast to rise by 7% from the last Spring Festival peak travel season and is likely to hit a record high. This annual travel rush, also known as Chun Yun, is usually a period of high transportation demand as people return to their hometowns for family reunions. The 2025 Chun Yun will last from 14 January to 22nd February. Cross-regional rail journeys and civil aviation passenger trips are also expected to hit record highs and 510 million and 90 million respectively. 8 government departments, including the Transport Ministry, on Tuesday released an action plan to secure the safety, smooth operations and services of the upcoming travel rush. The plan specifies measures to ensure the supply of charging services for new energy vehicles, pledging efforts to open additional charging facilities in busy service areas and provide guidance for drivers to ensure orderly parking and charging during the peak travel period. The Spring Festival, the most important traditional festival in China, will fall on 29th January in 2025. Sports, Sabalenka, Djokovic begins 2025 with a win. Stay with us.
Melaksanakan misi, mempertahan maruah, mencipta secara setia, pertemuan takkan jenta dengan asalkan membuat peluang meletus tegakkan satu perjuangan, satu suara akan yang direncana di dada dalam memburu takkan keraguan, dengan terbincang mendebatkan sampai kenalan.
Kicking off our sports segment this afternoon, Barcelona applied for new players' licenses for Dani Olmo and Paul Victor with the Spanish FA, RFEF, on Tuesday, while the club denied claims of requesting any delay from governing bodies for their registrations. The announcement was made hours before the midnight registration deadline.
Barcelona lost a second appeal to register the players for the remainders of the season on Monday, with the club unable to meet La Liga's wage cap. Barcelona signed Olmo in August for around 55 million euros, but the attacking midfielder was registered for only the first half of the season. The club managed to register Olmo and forward Victor after long-term injuries kept first-team players out of the squad for months, allowing them to allocate a portion of their wages. Efforts to extend both registrations have hit repeated roadblocks, with Barcelona's appeals dismissed by La Liga and various judicial authorities. While Olmo and Victor will be free agents after the deadline, Barcelona could meet the economic requirements to sign them before the transfer market closes in February. However, according to the RFEF rules, a player cannot be signed by the same club twice in the same season. The club is currently third in La Liga, trailing leaders Atletico Madrid by 3 points.
Plymouth Argyle have mutually agreed to part ways with head coach Wayne Rooney after just over 7 months in charge. Rooney had replaced Ian Foster in May on a 3-year deal at Plymouth. However, the team struggled under his leadership, failing to win away this season and are bottom with 18 points from 23 games, 4 points adrift of the safety zone.
The former Manchester United and England forward oversaw 25 matches in all competitions before his departure. It marks the second setback for Rooney in 2024 following his dismissal as Birmingham City head coach in January. Plymouth in a statement said first-team coach Kevin Nanskivel and club captain Joe Edwards will lead the team for Championships match against Bristol on New Year's Day. Rooney was appointed Birmingham manager in October 2023 when they were 6th, but sacked in January after they fell to 20th. The 39-year-old has previously managed Derby County and Major League Soccer MLS side DC United.
Now moving on to tennis, Novak Djokovic launched his Australian Open preparations with a straight sets 6-3, 6-3 wins over wildcard Rinky Hijikata. The 37-year-old Serb broke Hijikata once in the first set and twice in the second for a comfortable 74-minute win.
Djokovic, now ranked 7th in the world, was all business against the young Australian and always looked in control as he set up a second-round clash against fellow veteran Gael Monfils. Djokovic is chasing a record 25th Grand Slam crown in January in Melbourne. He is hoping his high-profile new coach, former rival Andy Murray, can help him find the edge as he bids to wrestle Grand Slam titles back from the grasp of younger competitors such as Jannik Sinner and Carlos Alcaraz. Meanwhile, Australian firebrand Kyrgios lost in 3 tight sets in his first singles match since June 2023. Kyrgios went down 7-6, 6-7, 7-6 to Frenchman Giovanni Mpetshi-Peikat in almost 2.5 hours as serve dominated. The 2022 Wimbledon finalist Kyrgios, 29, is making his comeback following wrist constructions and other injuries over the past couple of years. Kyrgios played and won in the doubles with Djokovic on Monday.
Meanwhile, in women's world number one, Aryna Sabalenka kick-started her bid to win the Australian Open for a third consecutive time with a straightforward win after a sluggish start. Sabalenka set an ominous warning on her season debut with a 6-4, 6-love demolition of Renata Zarazua.
The Belarusian has been working on her new ground strokes, and Mexican Zarazua found herself on the firing lines as Sabalenka reeled off 23 winners and won 71% of her service point. The Belarusian appeared bothered by the high humidity on Pat Rafter Arena, particularly during an error-strewn first set against Mexico's Zarazua. But after breaking Mexico's Zarazua at 5-4, the 26-year-old surged through the second set to wrap up the match 6-4, 6-love in 65 minutes. Sabalenka is bidding to be the first woman since Martina Hingis in 1997-1999 to win 3 Australian Opens in succession. She will play Yulia Putintseva next after the Kazakhs' 6-2, 7-5 win over American Makani Kessler.
Now, the United States handed out a 3-love thrashing to Croatia to top their group and sail into the quarterfinals of the United Cup in Perth on Tuesday. Taylor Fritz's 6-3, 6-2 win against Bona Koric in men's singles ensured the US, who meet China in the quarterfinals, topped Group A, regardless of the outcome of the tie in the mixed team tournament.
The big-hitting American converted his only break point of the first set in the 7th game and then served out the opener to surge ahead. He capitalized on a double break to go up 4-love and went on to secure his maiden win against Koric in 91 minutes. Coco Gauff was equally dominant in her 6-4, 6-2 win over Dona Vekic in women's singles. Vekic upset Gauff at the Paris Olympic and went on to win the silver medal, but in Perth the American dictated terms as she secured the tie for her team even before the mixed doubles rubber. After racing to a 4-1 lead in the first set, former US Open champion Gauff never really took her foot off the pedal. Gauff and Fritz were equally impressive in their mixed doubles win.
And that wraps up our first edition of World Today in 2025. A quick recap of our headline this afternoon. Significant task for Malaysia as chair for ASEAN Summit this year. Do join us again this evening at 8:30 p.m. for more on TV1 and saluran Berita RTM, or you can always stream us online through RTM Click's website and mobile app. Now, before you go, here's a clip of a New Year celebration around the world. Till then, I'm Shuhaida Arifin. From river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Thank you for watching.